Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than I want to see Spider-Man 2099 in the MCU. I'm your host, Arris. Last week we wrapped up our 5-year anniversary celebration and giveaways, and the Variant Nation was out in full force, as literally tens of thousands of you participated. So before we dive into today's episode, we wanted to thank all of you for making it an awesome event. For those of you who missed out, fear not, we have some plans for some really cool giveaways coming up very soon. But we also want to give a big thanks to our partners for the giveaways: Sideshow Collectibles, ThinkGeek, and Shield Labs. They're all amazing companies with equally amazing products. We once again put links for their websites in the description below, so make sure to check them out. With all that said, I don't know about you guys, but one of my favorite Spider-Man comics growing up was Spider-Man 2099. He's Hispanic, like yours truly, has an awesome costume and some really cool powers that the normal Peter Parker Spider-Man doesn't have. The character has also been back in the spotlight since he appeared in the Superior Spider-Man title. He also has a brand new self-titled comic series, so let's talk about this futuristic webhead. Spider-Man 2099 was created by writer Peter David and artist Rick Lenardi. He first hit the pages of a comic book in Spider-Man 2099, issue 1 in August of 1992. Although he was technically first seen in Marvel Age issue 114 in July of 92, but it was just a preview book, not necessarily a comic with a story. But again, that technically was his first appearance. What I'm saying is, I lied to you, but I didn't. I kinda did, but I really didn't. Let's just move on. But the story of comic book heroes and villains usually start with an origin, so let's take a look at his. The man who would become Spider-Man 2099 is Miguel O'Hara. He's half Irish and half Mexican, and is from Earth 928 in the year, you guessed it, 2099. Miguel was the head of a genetics department for the Alchemax Corporation, where he specialized in genetic splicing. More specifically, he always toyed with the idea of recreating the powers of the OG Spider-Man. But whenever you're trying to do something cool or good in the world, you can always count on the universe sending you a douchebag. And Tyler Stone, who was Miguel's boss, was that douche. He secretly got him addicted to a drug called Rapture. This was Stone's cruel way of getting his employees to do whatever the heck he wanted by offering them this extremely expensive drug in exchange for their loyalty. Needless to say, Miguel wasn't too fond of that idea, so he attempted to genetically cure himself by rewriting his genetic code from a previous sample he had taken. But he didn't realize he was being watched by his co-worker, Aaron DeGalto, who was that slimy person in the office who would do anything to move up the ladder. Aaron then tried to sabotage Miguel by pumping up all the levels on everything in the imprint sequence. This caused all the equipment Miguel was using to explode. To Aaron's shock, however, Miguel survived the explosion. So he approached Miguel saying that he was going to tell Mr. Stone that Miguel was responsible for wrecking his equipment. But when Aaron grabbed Miguel saying, "Turn around when I speak to you," he finds a frightening fanged and clawed-wielding Miguel. Being terrified as any normal person would, Aaron freaks out, pulls a gun, and starts shooting at him. Miguel tries to calm Aaron down, but the altercation caused Aaron to accidentally shoot a highly explosive container, destroying the entire top floor of the building and killing Aaron, despite Miguel's efforts to save him. Soon after all this, Miguel's boss, Mr. Stone, hired and sent out a cyborg bounty hunter named Venture to catch him. Miguel fled home and grabbed a costume from the Day of the Dead celebration he had hanging in his closet. A costume he'd previously made for what he called unstable molecule fabric, so that it wouldn't rip at the Day of the Dead festival in Mexico. As he said, it gets pretty wild over there. As what happens in Mexico, stays in Mexico. But really, it was just a way to explain to us the readers why his costume is so resilient. Anyway, he later attached a torn piece of glider cloth to the costume, which he got from a Thor worshiper he hitched a ride with in order to escape Alchemax security. In the end, he defeated Venture and began fighting against the evil Alchemax Corporation as Spider-Man, or as we know him, Spider-Man 2099. Spider-Man 2099's first series was a decent success and lasted 46 issues. During that time, Miguel continued to work at the Alchemax company since Stone still didn't know he was the mysterious man with powers who blew up his lab. Eventually, however, Miguel's brother's girlfriend Casey was kidnapped by a samurai called the Specialist. And this caused Miguel to realize that there was still a need for a Spider-Man even after all these decades, so he suited up and saved Casey from the Specialist. However, at this point in time, he still wasn't fully aware of just how powerful he was, and accidentally slit the Specialist's throat with his talons during the fight. Spider-Man 2099 would later find himself in Nueva York, which was a city overrun by gangs. It's here where he also came face to face with Vulture 2099, who, unlike the Adrian Toomes Vulture, is a cannibal. Vulture 2099 asked Spider-Man to join his gang, but O'Hara was all like, "Nah, I'm all set." Spider-Man instead teamed up with some other gangs and defeated the Vulture, only to later make his way back home and continue being Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2099 became popular enough as a character that Marvel put him in a crossover story where he would meet the classic 616 Spider-Man. The story put Peter Parker Spider-Man in the 2099 universe where he faced off against Vulture 2099, and Spider-Man 2099 was put in the 616 universe where he fought freaking Eddie Brock Venom. Talk about an awesome matchup. Later in the story, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099 get together and are thrown into the future, where they meet Spider-Man 2211, who has 6 arms, and they also meet Hobgoblin 2211, who looks more like Green Goblin 2211. In this reality, Hobgoblin is a girl and Spider-Man 2211's daughter. We also find out she is the architect and the reason for all this crazy time traveling and whatnot. In the end, all 3 Spider-Men team up to defeat Hobgoblin 2211, at which point both Spider-Men are returned to their respective realities, with their memories intact. Talk about a mind F. After his encounter with the 616 Spider-Man, Miguel became a full-blown justice-driven superhero. And just like Peter Parker, his personal relationships started going downhill, as he became more interested in being Spider-Man than anything else. He even tried to tell his mother that he was the newest Spider-Man, but she just broke down laughing right in front of his face. That's a real confidence builder. But let's jump forward to more recent events that began around the time of the Superior Spider-Man title. After all sorts of anomalies in the 2099 universe, Miguel heads back to the present time in the 616 universe to save his grandfather, which was during the time when Doc Ock was the Superior Spider-Man. Not surprisingly, he ended up getting into a confrontation with Superior Spider-Man as Otto was attempting to apprehend Miguel's grandfather. What also didn't help Spider-Man 2099's case is that he called Superior Spider-Man Parker, which caused Otto to give him a quick backhand with his fist. Otto later knocked out Miguel with a single punch to prevent a time stream meltdown, so I guess it was merited. Miguel would later debate killing his grandfather to prevent the foundation of Alchemax, which in turn would rewrite the 2099 timeline. But he ultimately decided not to go through with it because it could have far worse ramifications. He also discovers that Stone had destroyed the portal that sent him to the 616 universe, leaving him stranded. But in order to help guide the Alchemax company on the right path, Miguel becomes Tiberius's assistant under the name Michael O'Hara, with the aid of his computer, Lila. Spider-Man 2099 later appeared during the Goblin Nation story to help Superior Spider-Man fight off Goblin King's army. They were both attacked by brand new next-generation Spider Slayers, built to capture Superior Spider-Man. Luckily though, O'Hara with his 2099 tech was able to shut them down, although they were rebooted like literally minutes later. Norman then gave Superior Spider-Man the option to stay and fight like a man or go find Anna Maria Marconi. Guess which one Doc Ock chose? Yeah, he left Miguel all alone.
He left us! He left us!
Miguel then says, "I knew you were an imposter," as the real Peter Parker Spider-Man would never leave one of his allies during a fight. After a brutal fight, Miguel is beat up, but nonetheless victorious over the Spider Slayers. He then teams up with the real Peter Parker Spider-Man, who is back in control of his body, and he explained the situation to 2099. Then while Peter Parker went off to face the Green Goblin or Goblin King, Spider-Man 2099 began evacuating the Alchemax employees. But I'll leave the rest for your reading eyes. Now even more recently, following the newest Secret Wars event, Miguel is still stranded in present time and is thinking about quitting the hero business after a young girl is accidentally killed in a robbery he attempted to stop. Peter Parker then approaches him and offers Miguel a job at Parker Industries, and Miguel accepts. With this new job, Miguel is happy being able to help improve the world without being Spider-Man, as he feels there is more than enough spider-powered heroes to make up for his absence. I mean, he's right, but he's definitely one of the best spider-powered heroes out there. But when he builds and uses a time portal to investigate the future, it reveals a devastated 2099. When Lorraine Monroe, the mother of his girlfriend Tempest, tells Miguel that she was killed in an unexplained terrorist attack, Miguel is forced back into action to track down the man responsible, who we later learn is Dr. Kronos. He apparently taught robotics to Victor Von Doom before his expulsion, so Miguel dons a new Spider-Man 2099 suit that's better made for him and gets to work as Spider-Man 2099 once again. This, of course, is the most current iteration of Spider-Man 2099, with his brand new red and white costume, and it's just awesome looking. Spider-Man 2099 has some pretty cool villains that are basically 2099 versions of the 616 Spider-Man villains, like Vulture 2099, who I mentioned earlier, who's a gang leader and cannibal. Yeah, that's right, he has a taste for human flesh.
What do you smell? Man flesh.
Next is Goblin 2099, who looks more like a purple-green demon. Then there's Venom 2099, who I might have to give his own episode soon because I like him that much. And the last one I'll mention is Flipside, a dangerous android that can mimic Spider-Man and Venom's powers, which is just nuts. Spider-Man 2099 pretty much has all the same powers as the 616 Spider-Man, with some differences here and there. He has superhuman strength, agility, durability, enhanced speed, reflexes, and great eyesight. His healing abilities are also heightened. Unlike Peter, however, he has organic webbing that's made from spinnerets in his wrist. He also has retractable talons that come out of his fingers and toes. These talons allow him to climb any surface, and also help him in fights. They're razor sharp and can cut through almost anything. Like many real spiders, he also has fangs that secrete poison if he bites someone. The poison from his fangs paralyze his victims, and has also been shown to be powerful enough to affect people like Submariner. Miguel doesn't have a spider sense like Peter, but he makes up for it with all his enhanced senses. Miguel also doesn't web swing nearly as much as Peter does, but he can still travel just as fast because he uses his web cape to glide. The same web cape that I mentioned earlier that was given to him by a Thorite, one of Thor's worshippers. As I also mentioned earlier, his original blue Day of the Dead costume is made of UMF, unstable molecule fabric, which makes it very resistant to damage. Currently, he has a brand new suit that was made for him by Peter Parker. This new costume has unstable molecules bonded to Kevlar, making it even more durable. The suit uses sensors for vicinity readings, improved gliding, and thrusters in his boots. All in all, it's a better costume functionality-wise, but I personally still prefer the original Day of the Dead one. As for Spider-Man 2099 reading recommendations, check out Spider-Man 2099 Volume 1, Spider-Man 2099 Out of Time, Spider-Man 2099 Classic Volume 2, Spider-Man 2099 Volume 3 Smack the Future, and the complete Superior Spider-Man series. He doesn't show up until issue 17, I believe, in that series, but the whole series is great either way. When you buy a domain name from domain.com, you get the power to influence and control what people find when they search for you online. No domain extension will help you tell your story like a .com or .net domain name. Domain.com is affordable, reliable, and easy to use. The guys at domain.com gave Variants an awesome offer. Get 15% off domain.com's already affordable domain names and web hosting when you use the coupon code Variant at checkout. So when you think domain names, think domain.com. First up for Wednesday, August 2nd, we have Spider-Man issue 19. Miles has been wrestling with some inner demons and losing. Has he gone so far into the dark that he can't find his way back to the light? Here we have Darth Vader issue 4. Vader's first mission isn't going well. The dark side is the way of power, but no one said it would be easy. Next up is Elsewhere issue 1. This is a brand new series that I thought looked pretty interesting. It focuses on a girl who is transported to a mysterious world full of magical creatures. Then we have Injustice 2 issue 7. The heroes come together again to mourn a fallen comrade, and Batman is confronted by Blue Beetle, and Black Canary is visited by someone from her past. And finally we have Batman 28. The clash between the Joker and the Riddler continues to escalate, with the rest of the city's villains picking sides and joining in. That's going to do it for today's episode, my peoples, but head over to VariantComics.com to join in on more conversation about Spider-Man 2099 and a ton of additional content. Also remember to give the subscribe button a click, as well as the bell right next to it so you never miss a new episode. Links for all things Variant are in the description below, but I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.